This is Mac OS Ken.
Stories of discord around Apple's mixed reality headset. Tim Cook makes a big trip to China. And new titles teased for Apple TV Plus. It is Monday, the 27th of March, 2023. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken. Brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/MacOSKen. This show is also sponsored by Collide, endpoint security powered by people. Collide has some big news. If you're an Okta user, they can get your entire fleet to 100% compliance. How? If a device isn't compliant, the user can't log into your cloud apps until they fix the issue. It's that simple. See, without Collide, IT struggles to solve basic problems like keeping everybody's OS and browser up to date. The moment Collide's agent detects a problem, it lets the user know and gives them instructions to fix it. If they don't fix the problem in a certain amount of time, they're blocked. Collide is the only device trust solution that enforces compliance as part of authentication, and it is built to work seamlessly with Okta. Collide's method means fewer support tickets, less frustration, and most importantly, 100% fleet compliance. Unsecured devices are logging into your company's apps. Put a stop to that with Collide. Visit collide.com/MacOSKen to learn more and book a demo. That's KOLIDE.com/MacOSKen. Collide.com/MacOSKen. 4 pages of doubt. On Sunday, the New York Times ran a lengthy piece on turmoil inside Apple tied to the company's anticipated mixed reality headset. Single space, though, with paragraph breaks, rendered in 12-point font. It was 4 pages about the high price, the relatively small number of first-round units expected to be sold, Johnny Ive leaving 4 years ago, and rare dissent inside Apple over the anticipated product. 5 years ago, the piece says Ive showed a video to Apple's 100 top executives illustrating what a good augmented reality device could be. But now, according to the paper of record, as the company prepares to introduce its headset in June, enthusiasm at Apple has given way to skepticism, said 8 current and former employees who requested anonymity because of Apple's policies against speaking about future products. There are concerns about the device's roughly $3,000 price, doubts about its utility, and worries about its unproven market. 4 pages. Not that it was all negative. Apple's headset is considered a bellwether for virtual and augmented reality, according to the piece, though it went on to say the road to deliver augmented reality has been littered with failures, false starts, and disappointments, from Google Glass to Magic Leap, and from Microsoft's HoloLens to Meta's Quest Pro. Apple is considered a potential savior because of its success combining new hardware and software to create revolutionary devices. Still, the challenges are daunting. Though tinged with something close to negativity, there are interesting ideas in this piece. With an anticipated emphasis on co-presence, on business applications, and doubling as a tool for artists, designers, and engineers, version 1 of this headset may be for a select set of users, with later versions geared for the general consumer. This was an idea we heard twice over the weekend, once from the New York Times and once from Bloomberg. We'll get to the latter in a moment. In the New York Times piece, Matthew Ball, author of the book The Metaverse and How It Will Revolutionize Everything, was quoted comparing Apple's strategy with the device to Tesla's strategy with the Roadster, its initial $100,000 electric vehicle. Eventually, Tesla followed it with lower-priced cars with broader appeal. Similarly, Carolina Milanesi, consumer tech analyst with creative strategies, likens Apple's headset approach with the one taken on Apple Watch. Originally envisioned as an extension of iPhone, when users leaned hard into the watch's fitness features, Apple leaned into selling it as a fitness device. As for our friends from Bloomberg, in Sunday's Power On newsletter, Mark Gurman declared in the headline, Apple's best hope for new headset, a smartwatch-like trajectory. Plenty of uncertainty in this piece as well, if not downright negativity. Quoting Gurman, mixed reality, a category that melds augmented and virtual reality, is still a nascent area and far riskier than Apple's earlier attempts to establish new beachheads. With the Mac, iPod, iPhone, Apple Watch, and iPad, the company was essentially creating a better version of a product that people were familiar with. With the headset, Apple will have to explain to consumers why they'd want to own such a product at all. But they seem committed. Remember those 100 execs Johnny Ives is said to have shown AR 5 years ago? They, or their remaining counterparts, reportedly gathered in Apple Park last week for a demo of the mixed reality device. Not the first time, according to Gurman. He says they've seen demos since 2018. But, he writes, this time was different. Earlier demonstrations were lower-key affairs, meant to show progress and secure the headcount needed to keep going. The latest preview took place in the Steve Jobs Theater, Apple's biggest showcase, suggesting that a public unveiling is getting close. Gurman goes on to say that the demonstrations were polished, glitzy, and exciting. Of course, now comes the part where they have to create a new market from practically nothing. If one were so inclined, one could probably write a book about Tim Cook's weekend. It wouldn't just cover the 48 hours, of course, but I would argue a book could be written. Or maybe Aaron Sorkin could write a movie. A piece from 9 to 5 Mac says Apple CEO stopped by Apple San Latun in Beijing early in the weekend. That was ahead of a speech at the China Development Forum, referred to in the piece as a state-sponsored China Business Summit. 9 to 5 had Bloomberg listing Cook as one of very few U.S. executives set to attend the conference, underscoring the growing delicacy of doing business in China in the current geopolitical climate. Of the 100 or so foreign representatives in attendance, the list was said to be light on U.S. companies. The CEO of Pfizer was the only other U.S. exec I saw mentioned. Of course, Cook didn't just go to see, he also went to say. A separate piece from 9 to 5 Mac, this one highlighting a Financial Times report, pulled some comments from Cook's speech. Comments like, Apple and China grew together, and so this has been a symbiotic kind of relationship. We could not be more excited. And innovation is developing rapidly in China, and I believe it will further accelerate. Cook did mention Apple's very large supply chain operation in China and the many Apple retail locations in the Middle Kingdom. He apparently did not mention U.S.-China tensions and supply chain issues. Additionally, the piece says Cook discussed education and the need for young people to learn programming critical thinking skills. He also announced that Apple plans to increase spending on its rural education program to 100 million yuan. That's a little over $14.5 million for those keeping score at home. 9 to 5 Mac says Cook's visit and comments come as Apple is actively looking to diversify its supply chain outside of China. And you see what I mean, right? Feels like it might make a good Aaron Sorkin movie. More talk of new Earables from Apple. Midweek last week, I told you about hints reportedly found in the release candidate for iOS 16.4 for 2 new pairs of earbuds. One was said to be a pair of unreleased AirPods and an unreleased AirPods case. The other was said to be an unreleased pair of Beats Studio Buds Plus, itself an unreleased product. That one follows in line with 2021's Beats Studio Buds. It is on the former that TF International analyst Ming-Chi Kuo commented over the weekend. On Twitter last Friday, Young MC said, "I think this is likely the USB-C version of the AirPods Pro 2, with mass shipments expected in the second or third quarter of 2023. By the way," he continued, "Apple currently appears to have no plans for USB-C versions of the AirPods 2 and 3. News of a really interesting health-related change in iOS 16.4. According to a piece from my Download blog, the upcoming operating system can automatically dim epilepsy-inducing flashing lights on video. Explaining the problem, the piece says people who suffer from motion sickness and people with epilepsy may experience seizures, headaches, and other symptoms when exposed to flashing lights. That's why you see a warning on movies and TV shows that include flashing visual effects. According to iDownload blog, iOS 16.4 will let users turn on a feature that automatically dims videos when flickering or stroboscopic effects are detected. Off by default, users with epilepsy or prone to motion sickness will be able to activate the safety feature when the update is released. They do that by going to Settings, then Accessibility, then Motion in the Vision section, then flip the toggle for Dim Flashing Light to On. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, BetterHelp, online therapy. Therapy can be tough. Figuring out why we do what we do. Yes, it can be rewarding, but it's not always fun. It's all about deepening our self-awareness and understanding stuff about ourselves, which, let's be honest, can be scary. Therapy can be tough. Finding a therapist should not be the tough part. And it's not with BetterHelp. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are, literally and figuratively. I say literally wherever you are because BetterHelp is entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. If they turn out to not be right for you, you can switch therapists anytime at no additional charge. Had that happen to me one time with BetterHelp. Had a therapist with whom I just didn't quite gel. Switching to a better fit for me was quick and easy. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/MacOSKen today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/MacOSKen. BetterHelp.com/MacOSKen. News of 2 new Apple TV Plus titles to wrap the day today. Looking a couple of months out, Apple has issued a press release teasing the comedy series Platonic. According to that, Platonic follows a platonic pair of former best friends approaching midlife who reconnect after a long rift. The duo's friendship becomes all-consuming and destabilizes their lives in hilarious ways. The 10-episode comedy stars and is executive produced by Rose Byrne and Seth Rogen. This will be Byrne's second show for the Cupertino streamer. She's already starred in 2 seasons of the 80s dramedy Physical, with a 3rd season on the way later this year. This will be Rogen's first title for Apple TV+, though a second is in the works. The release says he is also set to star in an upcoming untitled comedy series for Apple TV+, that he will write, direct, and executive produce. No word in the release on when that second series will premiere. While there is no trailer yet for Platonic, there is a release date. The comedy stylings of Byrne and Rogan will hit Apple TV Plus on Wednesday, the 24th of May. And finally today, something less fictitious and more dramatic hits Apple TV Plus sooner. In a separate press release, the Cupertino streamer has revealed a release date and a trailer for Boom, The World vs. Boris Becker. According to the release, the docuseries explores every aspect of the man who became a tennis sensation after winning the Wimbledon championships at the age of just 17, going on to win 49 career titles, including 6 Grand Slams and an Olympic gold medal, as well as his high-profile, sometimes tumultuous, personal life. From Academy Award-winning director Alex Gibney and Academy Award-winning producer John Batsek, the release says they had special access to Becker for more than 3 years, right up to his sentencing last April for hiding assets and loans to avoid paying his debts. The release says the show features a series of personal interviews with Becker, including an exclusive conversation with the champion the week of his sentencing, alongside members of his immediate family, and tennis stars including John McEnroe, Bjorn Borg, and others. Boom, The World vs. Boris Becker hits Apple TV Plus on Friday, the 7th of April. You can catch the trailer on YouTube. Today on the Mac Observer's Daily Observations podcast, TMO managing editor Jeff Butts and I talk over Apple's 1-2 hits from Bloomberg and the New York Times, plus Tim Cook's trip to China, the stilted Steve Jobs Ghost in the Machine, and MLS all come out for Mailbag Monday. That is all today on the Daily Observations podcast from the Mac Observer, online at macobserver.com or wherever you get podcasts. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by Collide, endpoint security powered by people. Learn more and book a demo today at collide.com/macOSKen. This show is also sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.